Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Michael of M.O.D Catering Services. Don't forget to subscribe. So in this video, we are going to prepare our white chocolate ganache, cover our cakes in white chocolate ganache, cover in fondant, add a teddy bear, mold a teddy bear, and of course our 2-tier birthday cake will be ready for our beautiful princess. So stay with me as I take you through the whole process of making this lovely birthday cake, starting with chocolate ganache. So we need our chocolate and our whipping cream. We're boiling our whipping cream as usual, as we normally do always. Then we pour over our chocolate, we mix that up, refrigerate, whip up till we get that lush spreadable consistency. Then we proceed to sandwiching, frosting our cake, and finishing our yummy cake in our beautiful and lovely design. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere. So we're going to cook this up. As you can see from the very side, it's bubbling up. That's what we want to see. So it will bubble up at the very edges. We're going to allow our cream to boil, to cook up and bubble up and foam at the whole surface. Then we can pour our chocolate, mix that gently, then we proceed to that. We have a video on how we made our chocolate ganache. If you've not watched that yet, do watch that vivid or detailed video, and trust me, it's so easy. We're going to cook this so it boils up, then we add it to our chocolate chunks. So we tend to slice our chocolate into smaller chunks. If not, you're going to end up having your chocolate, you're going to end up having a lot of little chocolates, not really mixed well in there. So you have to make sure your chocolate is very small. They are cut into smaller little chunks so that they melt completely. If not, you're going to have lump in your chocolate ganache when you're done. And if that happens, you have to set it in hot water to make sure you get every lump dissolved. So as you can see, our cream is gradually bubbling up. We're going to allow this to foam up completely, then we pour over our chocolate. Alright, so as you can see, our whipping cream has been boiling, so we are going to just put up our flame. Then we pour this over our chocolate. Yummy, right? Yeah. You can try this out and just give me your feedback. We're just going to stir this up gently so we get everything mixed in there very well. And give it a gentle stir. So we've mixed our chocolate, and so we have our chocolate ganache almost ready. There are some little lumps in here I'd like to work on. So we have our water we've been heating backstage. I just need to add a little bit of water, then we set our chocolate ganache on to make sure we completely melt the whole chocolate chunks left in there. That's the lumps left in there. So I'm going to give it a gentle stir to melt everything up. Then we pop this into the fridge. We cover the surface, pop it into the fridge for some few minutes. We bring it out and start whipping till we get that spreadable consistency. Please stay with me, don't go anywhere. So we've had this sitting in the fridge for about 15 minutes now. We're just going to whip it up for some few minutes. Then we just take it back into the fridge. We bring it out for the second time, whip again, take it back into the fridge. For the third time, you're going to proceed with the same process till you get a spreadable consistency. So we've done this in our previous video. I tried to go through all over again. So this is our second whipping. After popping it in the fridge again, you're going to whip up everything. So as you keep whipping, keep refrigerating, keep whipping, keep refrigerating, it becomes this, the third one. It becomes more lighter in color and more creamier and more like a spreadable consistency. So as you keep whipping and popping, whipping and popping, whipping and popping, you're going to get a chocolate ganache in a very thick paste. So the consistency depends on you, the person working with. This is our fourth whip. I'm going to keep whipping and turning around. So the more you whip, the more lighter it becomes for you. And this is our very last and fifth whip. So as you can see, it has firmed up. And one advantage with chocolate ganache, once you keep whipping, it's going to increase in volume. That's the white chocolate ganache. Once you keep whipping, it's going to increase in volume for you. So this our last whip, and I'm going to whip this up till we get that spreadable consistency. That's how I normally lap it, but mostly I normally temper it up with the hair blower a little bit. That's the hand blower a little bit before using to make it more soft. So we've reached out for our cake. We're just going to sandwich and fill in with our filling cream. Then once we are done, I normally love less sugar. That's why I normally use less amounts of buttercream. So this is a 6-inch cake. So you're just going to continue with our sandwiching and adding in our fruit filling cream. So there goes our vanilla. We add in our strawberry. We continue with the sandwiching process. We keep on layering and sandwiching our cake layers. So as you can see, the buttercream is less. I don't want serving my customers with too much sugar. They paid for cake, and of course they must get their cake to eat. So we're just going to add in our filling cream, buttercream, filling cream, buttercream, filling cream. So the next flavor is of course vanilla. So the first one was cookies and cream, strawberry, then this is vanilla, then the last one is going to be a red velvet cake. We add in a little amount of buttercream and our filling cream. We spread that up, then we add in our very last layer, which is our red velvet. So these are 6 inches. We're going to repeat that with our 9 inches cake. Afterwards, we trim the whole side and make sure our cake is ready to be crumb coated in chocolate ganache and covered in fondant. So we are going to trim the top a little bit just to make sure we get that not too red color off. Then we can just proceed to working on our bigger cake. So we just trim off every brown part of our red velvet cake. Then when you are done, just move on to layering the very next batch. So you're now going to reach out for our 9 inches cake, and the first flavor was our coconut. You're just going to trim off the excess at the very top. Do a gentle trim because we wouldn't want to end up having our cake falling apart. So here we have our first trim off. I'm just going to gently fold that and set it aside. Then we add in a partial amount of buttercream as well. Then we continue with our filling cream, that's our strawberry. Then we proceed to add in our very second layer, which is our strawberry cake. Yes. We love working with different flavors for our clients because we'd want them to have a feel of every flavor in there. We love them to feel every bit of every flavor we give them. We don't just providing the person requests for just a single flavor, then we are good to go. If not, we're just going to mix up the flavors for you to have very yummy feeling of whatever cake flavors we have available. They also sometimes request for their own flavors, as we did with that 12 inches cake. So here we went with coconut, strawberry, vanilla, then we ended with red velvet. And it was about 7.5 inches tall, and the 6 inches was 6.5 inches tall in height. So we did our sandwich and everything, coated, covered in ganache, fondant, and we did a beautiful technique. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere because you're going to learn lots and lots and lots of stuff. There is more to learn, there is more to baking, and there are more secrets to baking and decoration as well. And I wouldn't want you to miss any of these because there are certain techniques you're going to learn easily without stressing yourself. It was a buttercream cake the client sent to us. It was a marbled effect on our buttercream cake. And just stay tuned and see how we did that beautiful effect. So we added our very last layer. We checked if it was leveled before proceeding to trimming, cutting, and doing our beautiful work all around. So we decided to trim out our cake a little bit before adding our chocolate ganache to it. So we trimmed our 6, and now you're trimming our 9 inches. The strawberry was a bit popping out with the vanilla, so we decided to just trim off any extra flavor that was really popping out. So we did our trimming. Then we filled in a little bit of crumbs in some parts of our cake. So now I'm going to coat our whole cake in chocolate ganache. This after blowing with your hand blower to make it a little bit softer. Then we just proceed to covering our whole cake with our white chocolate ganache. So we decide to work around gently, making sure our cake is well coated in our chocolate ganache. Then we pop it in the fridge or freezer. When we are done, we bring it out and just trim off the excess at the top with our knife, our sharp knife or sharp scraper. Then we trim off the excess. So we first of all do a light crumb coating around it. Afterwards, we thicken up the crumb coating and make it a bit thicker. And one secret with chocolate ganache is when you're working with it and it turns hard, you can reach out for your hand blower and just proceed to blowing your whole cake to enable the ganache soften up. So you have to make sure the ganache is soft. You blow up your whole cake with your hand blower. Then you just pass your smoother all around it to make sure it's soft for you. And to smoothing, continue to smoothing till we are done. Then we just work on the top as well and come back to scraping the whole sides because it's very necessary. We want a very clean cake, super clean, super neat cake, so we wouldn't want to risk that for anything. We're just going to work on the top, the sides a little bit. Then we proceed to doing our final carving or final design. After working on the sides again, we scrape the whole cake, scraping off any excess chocolate ganache with. Okay, so we used 1,500 grams of white chocolate to 1 part of whipped cream, which is the 1,500 to 500 grams or ml of whipping cream. Then we proceed with the whole process. So if you've been watching all this along, you know how we went about it. So this is the recipe. We need 1,500 grams of white chocolate to 500 grams or 500 ml of whipping cream. And as you can see how we did it, the same way to get to this stage or this consistency. And we decorated those 2 cakes with 1,500 and still had a little bit of our chocolate left. So we're just going to fill in the tiny bits that needs some chocolate ganache. Let's fill in. Then we gently work out and just take that to the fridge. So as I said, you need your hand blower to blow and smoothen your cake completely. So after blowing, after passing your scraper around for some few minutes, you end up with a very smooth finish. Then you can just pop this back into your fridge or freezer and let that stay there till you are ready to work on the edges. So here I'm going to cover a very little cake, that's a 6 inches cake. I'm going to completely cover that up. Then also do beautiful sharp edges on that cake as well. Afterwards, we slide that into a chiller or fridge. I just want to gently pass that around. Make sure we smoothen out the whole cake. And get that perfect finishing. Chocolate ganache makes carving of cake so easily simple. You wouldn't end up having to see your cake layers as well. So we just blow the whole cake, then smoothing up. When we are done blowing, we are going to add an extra thin layer of our ganache and finish up with our 6-inch cake. Then we can pop that into the fridge, bring out our bigger cake, then we just trim off the excess at the very top. That is going to scrape, then we take off the excess. So as you can see, we are almost done scraping and the cake looks clean. So we scrape. Now we have a very clean and beautiful cake. I'm just going to pop that in the fridge. Now you can cut off the excess at the very top. So you can use either a knife or you can use a sharper object, that's a sharper scraper, to cut off the excess at the very edge. When you're done, you just work on the top a little bit. So as you can see, I'm just going to work on the top. Then we can start with our covering. So we have a clean cut. I'm just going to finally do the finishing with our sharp knife. Then we can proceed from there to work on the sides as well. So we just, after everything, we're going to cover our 6-inch cake. So you take your smoother, you press tight to cut off the excess, then smoothing out the very back. So after cutting, you just make sure every excess has been cut off well. So you see, I'm going to press again, then I make sure I cut every excess left. So I needed a little bit of corn flour, then I just cut. Then when I'm done, I smoothen out the back to make sure I don't have any cut visible. So I just smoothen that out to make sure it goes missing. Then I open up for the one I'm going to cover with the top. So afterwards, I just covered and flipped and work on my sharp edges. Working with chocolate ganache, I say it's always easy. So once I'm done covering this, I reach out for my already made dust color. So I reached out for a pink food color, and I added corn flour to it to get to the shade of color I wanted. So our client wanted this beautiful design and it was in buttercream. So I had to replicate that in fondant. And the only way to do that is making our own beautiful cake. That's our fondant cake. Then I reached out to my already made that. So I took a pink color, as I said, added corn flour to it to get to the shade I wanted to use for this particular cake. So as I'm working on the sharp edges, I just drag for one more time. Then I cut off the excess, then flip that up. Then once I'm done, I reach out for my colored. That's my own dust I made. Then you can either use a brush or your fingertips to apply that to your cake to get more like a marble design. So you're going to just flip our cake and I teach you what I'm talking about. So after flipping, we have our super clean cake and edge here. Then you're now going to reach out to the color we prepared. So you see, I'm creating more like a marbled something, not too thick, not too thin. So as you can see, you can use your brush, but the brush will take more of your time since you need to brush more to get the colors popping out. So I used a normal food color, that's a normal food pink food color, and I added corn flour to get the consistency I wanted. So as you can see what I'm doing, I'm trying to create a marbled effect, more like a buttercream marbling effect on the cake. So as you can see, this is how mostly it appears when you do a marbled of a white and pink color. So you see, these are the details I got. So you can try this. You don't always need to color your fondant with the help of your palm or your fingertips. You can get this beautiful design for your lovely client. So I reached out for my bigger cake. I had to rework on the cake again because we had a little problem with it. So now, once I was done, I just reached out for our cake, and as you can see, it's ready. So we're now going to cover our 9 inches cake. So after working on it, I just drag together to take off the excess. Then once I'm done, I cut off and work on it again. So I'm going to trim off the excess at the top. So I get a little bit of half an inch fondant hanging. I wouldn't want a lot of fondant at the top when I'm working with my cake. So I'm just going to press again, then take off the excess and work to cover up the cuts we did behind to make sure it's invisible. I'm just going to take off the excess fondant, then we work on the seam to make sure it's invisible. Then we cover the very top, then flip and do our sharp edges again. Then once you're done, we flip it back and repeat the same design process with this. So we're going to flip and work on our sharp edges. So we just push to drag. We drag or push to make sure the sides meet with the top. Then when you're done, we just cut off the excess with our pizza wheel. Then we do our final dragging to make sure our edges are clean. Then we can just cut off with our shovel. I'm just going to drag till we get a very clean, super clean edge. Then we cut off the excess with our shovel. Then when you're done, we cut off the excess at the base as well, because we would want to flip it onto our main cake board. But our main cake board also needs that finishing and details, because since we are creating a marbling effect, we are not going to leave our cake board out. So we're just going to proceed to making that beautiful effect on our board and our 9 inches cake as well. Cut off the excess. Now once you are done, we cut off the base as well. Then we can just flip onto our final board. Then we marble this as well. First of all, we have to flip it first to see if our edges are super clean. Then we work on the sides as well. So we have a beautiful 9-inch cake. So here is our color. I'm just going to reach out. As you can see, it's not really coming up, so we just reach out. We use our hands. Already we've washed our hands thoroughly before touching this cake, so we are just going to work on our marble effect on our cake, right? Using our fingertips to mark all around the cake. So we just work on it. So our marbling is perfect, looking all beautiful and neat. Then we can start stacking. So here we are done. We are just going to clear our work surface. Then we work on our board as well. So our board also need a little bit of detailing. So we did that. And after we were done, so this is the color we got after mixing the cornflour in our red pink food color. So you can do this with any powdered color you add in cornflour to get a desired dust you'd want to use to dust your petals. You can even use it to dust your petals. You can even use it for details on your sugar molded crafts, or even your real cake. So here we flipped it onto our main cake board. Then we had to start tacking our cake together. So we used our pipes. So we pushed it through. We took the measurement. So we rotated, and with the help of our serrated knife, we just passed that around. Then we brought it out and started cutting. So you can see that's the mark. We just mark and cut. We mark and cut. We mark and cut. Please, if you are not too good with this, don't try this on top of your cake, because that's dangerous. Once it's light, it's going directly into your cake and cutting your cake up. Please, you can set that aside and cut that separately. You don't need to get it so close to your cake. So we mark all 5 holes. Then we push it through, and we needed, of course, our center dowel. So that's our center dowel, and we've cut our board for our 6 inches cake. We are now going to pipe in royal icing. Then we stack both cakes together. So I'm adding royal icing to stick to our board. Then I flip and gently slide that on top of our 9 inches cake. Then we can add in our details, extra details. So gently, we did a gentle sliding. And here we have our 2-tier. Beautiful 2-tier cake. So here are the extra toppings you're going to add to our cake. Go, you see teddy bear. It's hand molded or handcrafted. We have the video right before this video and our structure videos also. I'm just going to pass my hands around it for the last time. And here we have our flowers, our teddy bear, our that's our sprinkles here. So I added in our flowers on the sides. Then we pushed in our topper. And also, in order to secure a teddy bear to our cake, I pushed in a skewer. Then gently push that on top of our cake. So we have our beautiful teddy bear seated on top of our cake. Now we are just going to add in our second teddy bear that's going to sit on the board. That's the side of our cake. We are not done, but I'm already loving the details. So we add in our balls. Oh, these details were in the picture. So we just, to secure them, we have to add toothpick to it. We added in our piped royal icing. Then our one. So we added glue to the back and we just sticked that to our cake. And we added our hand molded macarons. We needed macarons, so we said to use the hand molded macarons. Then we added in another royal icing, another one to the side. So we needed 2 at the sides, yeah. So we added both. Then we added some to the top as well. Then we push in our flowers and everything we need to make sure everything is exactly the same as the client requested for. We wouldn't want to change anything. If you're changing anything, you're changing something to make it more beautiful. So we were supposed to add the picture of our lovely birthday celebrant. Yes, the other cake had the topper right in front of the top tier, but this around we will be adding in the Celebrant's picture. So we added glue and added our sprinkles to the very base of our 6-inch cake, and we also added some to the board to make sure our design is complete, because we'd want to repeat the exact same design. So we add our glue, we add our sprinkle, we add glue, sprinkle till we were done. Then we reached out for our extra details on the side as well. That's our balls. Then we added in more and more and more of our toppers we are supposed to use for this beautiful and lovely cake for our lovely celebrant. We started adding in our detailed molds, both tiers, so we got enough molds all around. Then afterwards, we just steamed the whole cake up, and we started adding in our sugar pearls. So we just steamed, then we threw some pearls around it. So that was what we were doing. We steam, we throw some pearls, we steam, we throw some pearls all around the cake. So we get the pearls enough on our cake. So we are not done, but I'm already loving this beautiful cake design. It's so lovely, beautiful, and trust me, you can do this for any 1-year-old or 2-year-old, or it's probably for a kid's birthday. So here we have our cake all looking good, but we decided to add the celebrant's picture. So we sticked the picture to our cake. Then afterwards, we did some mold works to create a frame around the picture. So after working on the mold, we decided to stick on all 4 sides of our cake to get a beautiful frame around the picture. So we added our lovely mold to create a frame for our celebrant's picture. We're going to add in the last one. Then we reach out for our self-made dust. And here we have it. Our mold is ready. We're just going to, with the help of the dust, we just pass, you see. So mostly the brush doesn't really work well, so I just used my hands to create the details and everything. So here we have a beautiful 2-tier birthday cake for our 1-year-old celebrant, Barella. So here is our finished art piece. Hope you learned something. I'm Michael of M.O.D's Catering Services. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as well. So here we have a lovely 2-tier piece together, and I so much love this.